I often compare the dynamic between a franchise quarterback and his team to the dynamics of personal relationships or marriages because they're very similar, especially when things start to go downhill. It's always the same signs, same story, and most of the time the same ending. It's subtle at first, maybe a surprising negative comment here or there when something like that has never happened in the past. Signs of discontent start to show up. Bottom line is, after so many years together, people have a tendency to get tired of each other. Minor things become major, they become magnified. We're seeing it right now with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson's one of the class acts of the NFL, just won Walter Payton Man of the Year award. In the damn near decade that he has been in Seattle, I can't think of one time that he has ever publicly had anything negative to say about the Seahawks. That all changed this week. He was on the Dan Patrick Show after the Super Bowl, and he expressed his frustration about being hit so much. And Russell Wilson has a point. He's one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL, and has been the majority of his career. The problems on the offensive line in Seattle, these are not new problems. Since his rookie season in 2012, Russell Wilson's been sacked 394 times, by far the most in the NFL over that stretch. He's being sacked on 8.3% of his pass attempts, and the last 3 years, on damn near 9%. That level of pressure is not sustainable. Just look at what's happened in Seattle the past 2 years. Seahawks have started 5-1 the last 2 seasons, with Russell Wilson leading the MVP race. But as the season progressed and the hits began to pile up, the Seahawks struggled down the stretch. Russell Wilson carried the bulk of the blame for the Seahawks' home loss to the Rams in the wildcard round last month. And yes, he was terrible in that game. But damn, he didn't have any time in the pocket. Sacked 5 times, hit 10. Aaron Donald and the Rams defense was in his face the entire game. He was pressured on damn near 44% of his dropbacks. I don't care who your quarterback is. I don't care if it's Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Breeze. Doesn't matter. The one way to beat any quarterback in the NFL is consistent pressure. Hell, we just saw the perfect example of that in the Super Bowl. Tampa's defense smothered Patrick Mahomes. That is why we have seen salaries for edge rushers increase exponentially over the past 5 or 10 years. And it's also why salaries for elite offensive linemen are going up. I know I reference the Saints a lot here on the channel, but it's because I know the Saints so well. And one of the areas that Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton have worked to make sure it remains consistent over the past 5-10 years is their offensive line. Because they know Drew Brees needed to stay upright to prolong his career and not take many hits, which is why New Orleans has pretty much kept the same offensive line the past 4 or 5 years. Same guys every year. Russell Wilson has not had that luxury in Seattle. He hasn't had that luxury in Seattle at any point in his career. Almost seems like the offensive line is irrelevant to Pete Carroll. Besides going out and getting Dwayne Brown back in 2017, the Seahawks offensive line has been a revolving door. Seattle has selected 0 offensive linemen in the first or second round of the draft in the last 3 years. And since 2012, Russell Wilson's rookie year, they've used just 1 first-round pick on an offensive lineman, and he's playing in Chicago right now. Now, why is that? I don't know. Maybe the thinking is we have an elusive quarterback who can protect himself with his legs, so the Seahawks use their draft picks and their cap space on other areas of need. But the problem is Russell Wilson's getting older. And as you age, it gets harder and harder to recover from being hit consistently week in and week out. He is not going to have that elusive speed forever. Eventually, he will lose a bit of his burst. So I can understand Russell Wilson's frustration with the Seahawks' inability to address the situation with the offensive line and to protect him the last 10 years. Trust me, at this point in his career, longevity is starting to be on his mind. He knows his career will be cut short if he continues taking the abuse that he takes. He's on pace to become the most sacked quarterback in the history of the NFL. But look, Russell Wilson is not completely innocent in all of this either. For one, him being sacked so consistently isn't all the fault of the offensive line in Seattle. Russell Wilson has a tendency to hold on to the ball too long. Of his 47 sacks last year, 14 were his fault, second highest in the NFL. And two, when a relationship begins to fall apart, it's never just one person's fault. Both parties are usually to blame. And Russell Wilson has played a part in what's going on right now in Seattle. It kind of reminds me of what happened in New Orleans when Drew Brees was in his prime, and he was around Russell Wilson's age. Drew Brees wanted to maximize his value with every contract negotiation. He wanted every penny that he could get. But it severely limited the Saints' capability to get high-priced talent around him. Now, Drew Brees finally came to the realization that if he would be willing to take less money, Mickey Loomis could use that cap space to bring other players in that could help the Saints win. Russell Wilson is going to hit the Seahawks cap for $39 million this season. That's 22% of their salary cap. I've mentioned this fact to you guys before, but no NFL team has ever won a Super Bowl with their quarterback taking up more than 13.1% of their salary cap. Russell Wilson's damn near 10 points over that number. Now, while I understand his frustration and agree that the Seahawks have neglected the offensive line in the draft, you can't have it both ways. You can't expect to maximize your pay, then complain that the team isn't protecting you with second-rate offensive linemen. I'm not even going to get into the ridiculous trade scenarios that I've seen involving Russell Wilson this week. If you're a fan of the Seattle Seahawks, don't worry. Russell Wilson's not going anywhere this offseason. Teams have called to inquire about him. Seahawks front office has just shut it down completely. Now, unlike Deshaun Watson in Houston, there hasn't been enough damage yet to the relationship in Seattle with Russell Wilson for either side to really be contemplating a trade at this point. Even though they haven't made it to a Super Bowl or even an NFC Championship game since 2014, and the Seahawks haven't been the same team since the Legion of Boom, they still have made the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years, so Russell Wilson is still successful in Seattle. But Pete Carroll and the Seahawks need to tread carefully here. Because what we're seeing right now with Russell Wilson, these are the signs of someone who is unhappy with his current situation. And if the team doesn't get it resolved, we could be looking at him leaving Seattle in the near future. Oftentimes, it's not one major thing that happens that puts an end to a relationship, business or personal. It's not one major thing that happens. It's a lot of small things that build up over time. Death by 1,000 cuts. Happened with Tom Brady in New England. How many years did he beg the Patriots to get more talent around him? His request fell on deaf ears, which in turn affected his relationship with the front office, with the coaching staff, with Bill Belichick. Of course, we know how that relationship ended. Patriots go 6-10 this year. Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl. So Pete Carroll and the Seahawks would be wise to listen to Russell Wilson and not write off his complaints. He is telling you what he wants. He wants to be more involved, and he is telling you he needs a better offensive line. Now, I know they're pissed off in Seattle, in the front office anyway, that he took his complaints public, took it to the media. And reports are coming out that the current situation is not sustainable. But get over it. Get over it. Quarterbacks like Russell Wilson are hard to find. And when you find them, you do everything in your power to keep them happy, within reason. And I don't think Russell Wilson's requests are unreasonable. Give me some offensive line help. That's what he's saying. That's not unreasonable. Of course, if you're Pete Carroll in the Seahawks front office, you can decide to do the opposite, not listen to Russell Wilson, and he'll be gone. He'll be gone. And if he's gone, the Seahawks will be lucky to be 6-10. You're in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. 3 great offensive-minded head coaches in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Arizona. Trust me, the Seattle Seahawks need Russell Wilson more than Russell Wilson needs them. All right, sound off in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Are we in the beginning stages of divorce between Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks? Do you guys think he'll be traded this offseason, or will they eventually work everything out? Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys next time.